So we need to touch this up to get rid of the box on that. So in this case, I shot an additional image that does not have the box in it. I just moved the box out and color corrected it a bit. And all we really need to do is roto the box to get rid of it. We want to keep some of these shadows and stuff. And then touch up the floor so that the box is on the floor. Now, in this case, there is this mild shadow in the background. We might want to replicate some of this shadow as well, even though the light's coming from this side. We might expect to see a little shadow there. So let's, while we're here, let's create another roto node for that and kind of touch this up a little bit to make it, to get rid of this crack a little bit better. And also this doesn't seem to be fully hiding this the box here. So let's make sure that we completely remove the box using this roto node. There we go, that's better. And then maybe create a little bit of a shape. We started here to grade the background to create another fakey shadow to replicate that shadow. Here we'll see what we can do. We'll just grade it here. Make sure we're viewing it in the right place. Okay, so let's adjust that to look a little bit more like this shadow. And we'll blur this roto just a bit more. Oops. There we go. So that'll create a nice fakey little shadow for this thing. Now, as long as we projected this clean version onto our ground and our back wall, we won't have that shadow. So we can just go ahead and recycle this whole projection and only project this onto the card. So let's look at the cards in 3D. There are the cards. So the floor and the walls are getting one projection, and the box is getting another projection. And then they're all being collected into a scene and then rendered. So let's see how this looks through our scanline render. Looks awesome. No shadows, no cracks showing through. Now obviously the antique chest has a lot of relief on it, a lot of details like these slats that stick up and they would create a silhouette. You would expect them to create a silhouette. So if you wanted to go nuts with this, you could always go in and more accurately model little details like the slats and maybe these little metal straps bumping off the edges and the handles sticking out a little bit more. But as long as you don't move the camera all that much, let's create a bit of animation here and see how this looks. So we'll create a scene that goes from 1 to 120, let's say, and then we'll animate our cam main along during this time frame. So we'll start on, this will be our frame 1 at this angle here. Let's kind of let's view through 3D and look through the cam main. Let's kind of pick a better starting place. Gotta hold down Control and click this to turn it green. Now I'm editing the camera as I move it in 3D. So I'm going to create one keyframe here, let's say, for frame 1. So I'm going to right click on this knob and set key, and for rotation as well, set key. Now it's keyframeable, and I'll move to frame 200. and scoot it along this way, and we'll kind of orbit. We'll kind of orbit around it this way, and we'll try not to shoot off of our limited set that we have because we didn't really create a very huge projection here. Now we're starting to see a bit of our cheesy crack that we painted up here. But it's overall it's pretty successful. There we go. That's a pretty good move. I'll drop one more keyframe right in the middle here just to sort of smooth out this arc a little, so it feels like we're arcing around the chest a little bit. And now I'm going to run out a flip book. We can look at it real quick here just in GL, and you'll be able to see it's working quite well. It's going to be pretty successful. Then I'll do a software render. So look at scanline render here. Hide all the overlays, and we'll just do it at half resolution. And here we go. So that's pretty successful. One of the caveats that definitely needs to be mentioned when using this technique is that you really can't get away with too much parallax. And we're really pushing it on this shot. Normally, rule of thumb is it really shouldn't probably try to go more than about 15 or 20 degrees, something like this. And you can see in this one, we're going a full like almost 90 degrees around this thing. And the gag is starting to give itself away. You can see the slats on the top are flat and that the parallax isn't quite working. I mean, if you only had a moment to look at it, you wouldn't recognize that it's all just mapped flat on a card, or on a box. But the closer you stay, within 15 degrees of either side of the initial projection, the less likely that the thing is going to give itself away. So that's one big caveat to keep in mind. If you want to take this technique further, then you have to start modeling all of the relief into the box. If you want to do this same technique using your own stills, make sure that you measure your survey object and that you snap those user tracks to the corners the way that I did. That's the only way to do it from a still like this, one still. If you shoot multiple stills, you can use the camera tracker in stills mode and solve that way. And it's an extension of this technique where you are snapping those user points to your survey areas in your scene. But you don't, if you have multiple stills, you don't need to have the survey object per se. You just have to create correlation between your multiple stills to calibrate your camera. So yeah, if you want to try this technique, I'm interested to see what you come up with. It's a lot of fun just projecting something onto a box or a cylinder or a ball or something like that.